Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rekha Kudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're gonna, thought I was doing, so used to going through the breakdowns. Today actually we're gonna deal with some current events, okay? And I was reading through a couple of headlines here and found this one pretty interesting, right? Which inspired the title of "The Chaos is Yet to Ensue," because as we saw in the ending of last year, into the threats that were being dished out from both sides, you had a lot of Democratic supporters. Interesting, right? You had a lot of these women claiming they're gonna be doing this 4B movement, right? I did a whole lesson on that. I guarantee you, at least I'm pretty sure, the majority of them totally forgot about that by now, right? The whole I divorced my husband and I broke up with my boyfriend because he didn't vote the way I liked. More than likely, they're probably going back, try to apologize, try to fix it up, or they're holding on to their pride and having a hard time. Whatever the case is, there's that. But you also had on the other side of things, people calling for pretty much like a revolt, an uprising, a resistance to the new administration. And this article harps along those lines of how, as I'm going to read the headline here real quick. It says, Scott Jennings, the CNN panel, and you'll see the clip of that. Democrats morphed into angry mob cheering violence and chaos. And when it was the reverse, right? When it was the reverse, i.e., when you had, say, the Democrats or Biden administration up in power, and all these things were going on, when people decided to riot or decided to protest, chances are they wouldn't have cracked down on them as tough as they would under an administration like the one that's in today, okay? Because you can see the different approach that they're taking with things. They're almost like a no-nonsense, no-tolerance approach, right? I saw a video of this woman. She was walking. I forgot what college it was. She was walking to campus, and she gets approached by an undercover agent. The video really wasn't audible, at least the one that I saw. So you just see like the actual footage, and he stops her. He's kind of trying to get a moment, but I think she's like obviously from the east and whatnot. So they got the head covered. They're very hesitant to interact with anybody, right? In some cases, especially when it comes to like touching. And so he basically uses his hands to quickly apprehend her, and then the rest of the agents come out and everything. And it turns out they said that she made remarks, if I remember correctly, along the lines of supporting Hamas, or the headline was spinning a narrative of she supported violence against like Americans or like American interests or whatever by supporting Hamas and yada yada. The point of that being, this is something that you see, right, along with the deportations, right, along with the crackdown on the whole immigration border situation, and the energy that comes with it shows you the mindset that Trump and this administration are going with. And so in cases like that, when you have things like things being said like this, and there's acts that are following it, right, about violence and insurrection and resisting the powers that be, so to speak, you can expect that as it escalates to be met with actual force this time, rather than just letting it slide. So I'm going to read here real quick. It says, following sleazy Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett's disheartening remarks about the Texas governor's wheelchair-bound condition, GOP analyst Scott Jennings offered some words of advice to the far-left-leaning panel during Tuesday's edition of CNN Newsnight. I don't know how Democrats appointed Jasmine. I think actually this is said in here, so maybe I'll just play it from here. Um, but let me just read it first. I don't know how Democrats appointed Jasmine Crockett as the unquestioned leader of your party, but thank God. And I think what she should do is go on TV twice as much, maybe 3 times as much, because every time she appears, makes these mistakes, says something radical, it only further divides her party from the other 80% of America who can't stand this. But the problem is, there's an audience for it. I heard Jimmy Kimmel's audience cheering on Tesla vandalism. I hear that the Daily Show's audience on tax on Elon Musk. I hear the human rights audience cheering on an attack on a man in a wheelchair. And I realize this is what the left has become. An angry mob of people who are cheering on attacks on a guy in a wheelchair and vandalism against people who bought a Tesla. Is pathetic. See, so what you're starting to see here is there's a more and more divide, right? That we've seen over the last decade and even longer, but it's now, making its way to the headlines more and more, and it's becoming very apparent to where it's not just something that everybody knows but nobody says. Now it's like what is being talked about. And as time goes on, it'll continue to be talked about as a problem, as a danger, as a potential threat, which then needs to be handled. As more and more, as they label them, Democrats perform these gatherings and these outlandish things that they do, is going to provoke this guy over here to take measures that he can then justify himself in saying, hey, I had to do this to bring order. Right, or I had to do this to bring the nation back under control again. So it's really just a matter, because now they got the right guy in there. Now it's just a matter of the right event, right, the right trigger that then justifies him to pull it. On X, Jennings wrote that Crockett will learn no lessons from the Hot Wheels episode because the left's angry mobs ate this stuff up, or eat this stuff up. Adding, trust me, the unquestioned head of the Democratic Party thinks this is a winning vector. So let's take a look here.
I don't know how the Democrats came to appoint Jasmine Crockett as the unquestioned leader of. I don't know how the Democrats came to appoint Jasmine Crockett as the unquestioned leader of your party, but thank God. And I think what she should do is go on TV twice as much as she is right now, maybe 3 times as much, because every time she appears and makes one of these mistakes, says something radical, it only further divides her party from the rest of the other 80% of America who can't stand this. But the problem is there's an audience for it. I heard Jimmy Kimmel's audience cheering on Tesla vandalism. I hear the Daily Show audience cheering on attacks on Elon Musk. I hear the human rights audience cheering on an attack on a man in a wheelchair. And I realize this is what the left has become. An angry mob of people who are cheering on attacks on a guy in a wheelchair and vandalism against people who bought a Tesla. It's pathetic. No lesson could ever be learned as long as you're doing these things in front of audiences who roar when you do it. When you have comedians who are broad messengers for the left making unfair jokes and people are roaring. When you have politicians being vulgar and saying what's the lesson?
We're trying.
What's the audience? It says a lot about the audience.
But what? Yeah. So now I haven't seen the full video of this, but from the way that I guess he's the host is interjecting, who knows? Maybe he was trying to deflect the point, whatever the case is. I don't know what side he's on. I don't know what point he was trying to make there, but usually that's what happens, right? When you have 2 sides, one side starts to make a point that sounds like, damn, this is pretty valid. The other side tries to interject and either, go with that's not the topic, that's not what we're dealing with, that is partially true. And apparently when something is partially true, it just means that it's not true at all, according to society nowadays. So anyway, there's that. Now I'm sure you might have seen, let me see, was it over here. Can I click this? Yeah. You see that? Maryland Democrats pass sleep tax. Is a thinking tax next? And I actually pulled up that article here, took a look at it. Um, Pretty much they're saying that they're losing money, and so they're trying to add an additional tax on top of the regular sales tax for mattresses. Okay, so pretty much anybody that's been saying that they're not losing sleep over this, you're gonna need to think again about that. So anyway, these little things here, they cause people to tick, right? They cause people to tick because the economy is not the best for people right now. Put it like that. Okay, meaning that people are still maxing out credit cards to try and pay off pay bills, right? And get by and buy groceries and just, make it day to day. And so the more things you add to that, the more it compounds until when there's a breaking point, everything just gets let out on Front Street. So, like I said, it's just a matter of time before that chaos ensues. Right now, it seems as though, okay, things are moving along here and there, but just as time goes on and then some major events comes out of nowhere and then it calms down and another one comes out of nowhere, the next big thing, right, in terms of when Jacob's trouble, takes full effect, it's not going to calm down. All right, it'll be one after the other, and you'll keep stretching out your neck looking for when it calms down, and it just won't. All right, it just won't. It says here, Jennings is entirely correct. The far left has chosen the path of hate and violence, while the latest polling data from NBC News and CNN News shows the party has hit its lowest approval ratings on record, 27% and 29%, respectively. Sheesh. So this was a post from Elon Musk. Has there ever been such a level of coordinated violence against a peaceful company? I understand not wanting to buy a product, but this is extreme arson and destruction. So this is footage here of, as you can see, it says the Tesla attacks are getting worse. Arson, Molotov cocktails, bouts of gunfire. This isn't new. The left has used violence as a political tool for decades. And they did call for this, right? Saying that if Trump was to win, they got to start rallying up and shaking things up. We're not gonna take it. Oh, here it says, only one thing can stop this. And this is where I sort of want to draw the focus, right? Only one thing can stop this. In the words of Pat Buchanan, force, rooted in justice, and backed by moral courage. You hear that? Force, rooted in justice, and backed by moral courage. Which is to say, usually when force is applied, violence is used. In most cases, if it's unwarranted, it's frowned upon. But as things, the whole problem, reaction, solution, as things get worse to the point where you can now see, hey, this is a problem, keyword problem. Okay, this is a problem. We need to bring a solution. We need to put a stop to it. Well, clearly they're not listening or willing to reason. And they're committing vandalism, arson. They're going about doing some crazy things. So the only way to put an end to this is not to try and talk, but you got to use force. And the force that you can use will be justified because it's rooted in justice. The force is to say, hey, we're either putting troops on the streets or we're, declaring curfews or we're doing whatever the case is because we need to stop these crazy attacks or these violent mobs from continuing to run rampant upon these streets. All right. So in the name of justice, we got to bring out the guns. In the name of justice, we got to authorize deadly force. In the name of justice, we got to put tanks on the streets. Right. I'm just giving examples here. And backed by moral courage to say we need to do this because this is the right thing to do. Listen to these people, as the guy who was at Jennings made those points, right? Saying he hears human rights activists, right? I think that's what he said. Cheering on attacks on the guy in the wheelchair, right? So you when you phrase it that way, you now start to have a case where people are looking at it like, yeah, these people are bugging out. Somebody got to stop them. And like I said, you got just a guy in office who is not afraid to do it. He'll do it gladly. Democrats believe communist revolutionary tactics of firebombing Tesla showrooms, which is crazy, and cars are socially acceptable in the era of Trump's law and order to win back votes. Yet, the imploding party is obvious and tone deaf that the Overton window shifted last year and BLM style color revolutions are no longer socially acceptable. So, as these things continue to go on, right, as time continues to pass, as more and more of these executive orders continue to get signed, right, putting things in the necessary place, we'll see how, things continue to play out, right? But I wanted to bring this here because all in all, that still leads to and signifies prophecy concerning the downfall of this place because, as Yahushua said, a kingdom divided cannot stand. This is Isaiah 47:1, a prophecy dealing with Babylon, not ancient Babylon, but modern day Babylon, which is America. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Okay, and in a applied sense, when you look in past times at a country like America, it was so desired. The American dream was desired because when people looked at this place, it was like the equivalent of a man looking upon a beautiful, tender, delicate woman and wanting to be a part of her life, get up in that. So people wanted to get up in here and get some of that goodness, right? But now when people look at this place, they don't see that. They don't see that delicate, tender, sought out for place. They see a place of what the hell is going on over there? What the hell? Like the past 4 years, and in addition, they're like, yo, this place is gone. This chick is out of her mind. So that's why, as it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne for thee. There's no more praise, right? The lofty position is no more. Now, even though people are trying to have hope that this guy Trump is going to turn that around, the problem is it's too late, right? This place has already been hit with a terminal illness. So at best, they can prolong its lifespan, but it's not going to live, all right? I'm going to jump down to verse 5. Sit thou silent and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the lady of kingdoms. And that's what we're seeing, right? And eventually, as the Lord starts to close a show on this place, you'll see that in a full scale, to where the sentiment of the people, how they speak, how they talk, right, how they act, will pretty much echo the sentiment of these verses here. Okay, it'll be like common talk, like people will eventually start to see it, but it's all the Lord's show anyway. Okay, so with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.